Great, thank you. So this is the last one of these for the term. Then we have our last classes on Wednesday and Friday. Again, it doesn't mean we're strangers all of a sudden. Like, there's always next term, right? Some of you have already said to me that you want to go on to next term, and it's not until the beginning of September, so it's a while away yet. But yes, if you want me to book you into next term, just let me know. For the people who are new to the work that I do, it's ongoing study, it's ongoing training, it's ongoing practice, so you can stay and keep going as long as you want. You can go away for a term if you maybe have a busy 10 weeks coming up and you don't want to do the next one, and then come back after that, and that's okay too. So basically, I just hold your place. Your place is yours unless you tell me otherwise, and then I'll release that place to somebody else if there's someone else who wants it. So yeah, just let me know whenever you do. I'll probably send a message out, around about mid-July or something, just to remind everybody to let me know, just so that I know exactly what I'm doing and how many places over the next sort of 6 weeks coming up to September that I'll have to offer to other people. Just because we're finishing doesn't mean we have to be kind of, cutting it off and finishing and disappearing off. If you have anything that you need me to help you with over the summer, I'm not going too far. I'm doing a summer course in July, from July 5th to the 9th. If you want to do a summer course, a summer week intensive, I've got 3 places left to fill on that. If you would like to do that, or if you know anybody who would who'd like to do that, that would be cool. And thankfully, we will be in a studio for it, by the looks of things, unless things change again. But at the moment, it's looking good that we'll actually be in a studio for it. And of course, the week after this week coming, we will, for the Wednesday and Friday people, we will have those 3 days in the studio where we can pop in and do a bit of filming of the work you've been doing over the term. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So today we will have a bit of a chat about the business, the industry, just to finish that off, ways that you should be thinking about the business or can be thinking about the business. But before we do that, we'll have a look at Joe and Irina's scene, if that's okay, if you two guys are ready.
Sure.
Right, I'll just pin you here if you can bear with me there a moment. All right. Yep, so I've got you both pinned there. And yeah, you can just fire away whenever you're ready, guys.
How are you? I was calling you.
Yeah.
Did you get some sleep?
Sure.
Did you have lunch? Kyle fix you something.
Where's the girl?
Upstairs. Why?
I want to see her.
She's having a bath now. Why do you want to see her?
Going somewhere?
Yes. We've got a 4:30 train to catch. Why?
JJ gets for Lieutenant Escobar.
What are you doing? What's wrong? I told you we've got a 4:30 train to catch.
You're going to miss your train. Lou, meet me 1412 Adelaide, spot Santa Monica Canyon. Yeah, as soon as you can.
What did you do that for?
You know any good criminal lawyers?
No.
Don't worry, I might recommend a couple. They're expensive, but you can afford it.
What the hell is this all about?
I found these in your back garden, in your fish pond. They belonged to your husband, didn't they? Didn't they?
I don't know. I mean, yes, probably.
Yeah, positively. That's where he was drowned.
What are you saying?
There's no time for you to be shocked by the truth, Mrs. Moray. The coroner's report proves he was killed in salt water. Just take my word for it. Now, I want to know how it happened and why before Escobar gets here, because I have a life to hang on to.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is the most insane and craziest thing.
Stop it. I'll make it easy. You were jealous. You fought. You fell. You hit his head. It was an accident. His girl is a witness. You don't stop me to harm her, but you have the money to shut her up. Yes or no?
No.
Who is she? And don't give me that crap about it being your sister. You don't have a sister.
I will tell you the truth.
Very good. Now, what's her name?
Catherine.
Catherine. Catherine who?
She's my daughter.
I said the truth.
She's my sister. She's my daughter. My sister. My daughter. My sister.
I said I want the truth.
She's my daughter and my sister. For God's sakes, Kaya, keep her upstairs. Go back. My father and I understand. Or is it too tough for you? He had a breakdown. The dam broke. My mother died. He became like a little boy. I was 15. He would ask me what to eat for breakfast, what clothes to wear. It happened. And then I ran away.
To Mexico.
Hollis came and took care of me. After this happened, after she was born, he said he took care of her. I couldn't see her. I wanted, but I couldn't. I just want to see her once in a while, take care of her. But I don't want her to know. I don't want her to know.
So that's why you hate him?
No. For turning his back on me after this happened. He couldn't face it. I hate him.
Why are you taking her now?
Back to Mexico.
Can't go by train. Escobar will be looking everywhere for you.
What about a plane?
That's worse. Just walk. Get out of here while you still can.
I have to go home and get my things.
I'll take care of everything.
Where can we go?
Where does Carl live?
With us?
On his day off? Get the exact address.
Okay. Those didn't belong to Hollis.
How do you know?
He didn't wear bifocals.
Nice. Okay, good stuff, guys. Well done. Great. So, well, while we're on it, let's just open it up to the gallery. What do we think? Any comments?
David, I thought they were absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, really enjoyed it too. They did really well.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I found it was very real. I found they were very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
Okay.
So
Great.
well done.
Thanks, Andy.
Well
Okay.
done.
So that's what I want to dig into is why. If we've been doing this all term, you know how it works. And Andy's absolutely right. I agree. I think it's very, very good, very high quality here. But let's work out why. What are they doing that makes it work like this? First of all, it's believable. Okay, great. That's the first and most important thing of realism, isn't it? That we believe them.
They followed the graph really well. It was a lovely, you could see it, and there was a lovely moment with Irina where you just knew that it was all about change. Yeah, and you can really see it. I'm probably not describing that very well, but I think you understand what I mean.
You're describing it exactly right. Okay. Yeah, we can see that it's building to a certain point, right? And the graph is very well observed. Exactly. So there's a certain point there then where we know, as Layla says, that there's going to have to be something major that's going to have to change here. And boy, do we get it. Okay. And I thought that Irina in particular, and both Joe and Irina, but of course it's Irina who has the news to tell, but that sense of being forced into admitting that truth was really quite moving. And I believed you, if I can put it that way. I believe that all of that was there, and I mean, I even 100% believed you when you told whoever it was to, you know, keep her upstairs, you know, even though I know there's no one there, but I bought it, you know. And that's you, Irina, playing your given circumstances out very, very well. You know where you are, you know exactly where you are in the graph, you know exactly where things are going. I suppose one of the things that I was going to say notes wise is I could see, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but and you could be fooling me, right? But it seems like all of the emotion and the sensations that are going on in that moment of that low point of that change are very real, and they are actually moving you. And I wonder if you were to allow that to release even more, you know, to really let that out.
Yeah, I caught myself in the thought that I am about to start crying. And I stopped myself. I'm like, I'm not gonna cry in front of all these people. Maybe I should have, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to put it. But of course, yeah, that as soon as that thought came in, you weren't in character anymore, were you? Right?
Yeah.
So you had an intrusion of Irina coming in and kind of marking what the work was, even though it's a very positive remark to say about yourself, because basically what you're saying is, oh, this is working really, really well.
Yeah.
Damn it, I'm out of character now. If I'm saying
Right, it got too real. No, I don't know. Yeah, I have to learn to.
Yeah, just follow it. You know, just follow that path. You know, and it'll always end up in an interesting place. You know, if it's like I always say to all of you guys, if it goes too far and it ends up being a big blubbering mess of emotion, we can always wind it back. So just let it go. Just let all of that out, and let her purge all of that stuff in that moment, and see, because you certainly walked right up to it, and it was very moving and lovely, right? From Joe's point of view, then, Joe being the learning character here, I thought that was excellent, Joe. You allowed yourself to sit into it and to allow yourself to actually learn the truth of the situation, to let her talk, to not do anything while that's happening other than just to listen, and then to evaluate where to go next and what to do next, what the plan of action is. So I believe you both, absolutely. I think the note there then is, you know, if Joe's there on Wednesday, maybe we'll try it again and just see what happens if Irina just goes even further with that idea. But I certainly believe both of the characters. And of course, because Joe is very much the learning character and Irina is the, well, actually, it's a bit of both, really, isn't it? Because, you know, Irina's learning that, you know, the bifocals have been found in the pond. She's learning this guy's onto me, that this guy knows that something's up, right? That there's some anomaly here that he's missing. so they're both learning characters to that extent, but you know, to probably Joe is the one who's learning, and Irina is the one who's sort of instructing or giving the information here that's going to change his perspective on everything. See how far we can go, make the curve a little steeper, if you like, if you want to put it that way. But it's excellent, guys, really good. And I believe the characters too. The characterization work is great here. You know, we talked really early in the term about because it's a film noir, that kind of bruised detective and that femme fatale, to find those two people. And I think you've done that really well. You know, obviously, if you threw, I mean, Joe's kind of got a nod to costume there. If Irina did the same, that would just give it a bit of more of a nod to the archetype. But I believe them, and you can always go a bit too far with that as well. It can become a cliche, and neither of you have stepped into that place with it at all. You know, you've kept your head on, you've kept your head in the technique and on the objectives and everything else, and I like the performances, both of them. So well done.
Thank you.
Cool.
Are
Thanks.
there any other technical notes you want to give to us in terms of technique or clarity or whatever?
No, that's it. Articulation wise was much better, Joe. You've got an echo in that room there, so there was a couple of things that I didn't quite pick up in terms of diction, but I don't think it's your diction. I think it's just the echo in your room, that's all. I thought it was much clearer, and you've worked hard on that and got better and better each time.
The consonants and the diction, yes.
Yeah, and you can see that work, so great, well done.
Yeah, obviously I'm trying not to stress on the diction or the consonants too much, David, or otherwise I may come across as forced. Like I think I did that on the first term with Silence of the Lambs in one take, and it sounded like it was a bit too forced. You know, I don't want to sound like a robot. You know, I kind of want to add an element of the character's diction there as well.
Oh yeah, I get you. Yeah, no, diction's one of those things that you have to work at, and it gets better, and then it becomes subconscious. Obviously, when you're first starting to do technical work like that, like on something like diction, it'll be conscious at first. You know, you have to listen while I'm acting. Part of my mind is listening to the sounds I'm making to make sure they're clear. But after a while, it becomes habit, like anything, it becomes second nature. So I think you're getting there, very much so.
So overall, did great.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So let's just kick on to the next thing that we're going to talk about. Just a little bit about the business and where to go and how to move forward, and maybe what you can do over the summer for yourself. Any other questions though at this stage of the term, just for those in the Wednesday workshop, the Friday studio, or my one-to-ones as well? Anything anyone wants to ask at this stage? No. All right, cool. That's perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy with it, where you're at with your work, guys, in the classes there. You know, there's knocks coming in reasonably frequently in both classes there, a number in the Fridays, which it should be at this point. So yeah, that's all going really well. Okay, great. So let's just do this little bit of a chat about this. So all of you now have a fairly good idea of what to do to get yourself out there and to be seen. Now, this will be more relevant to the guys who have been around for a while than you know, the likes of Andy, who's just sort of starting into it, and those who maybe aren't interested at this point in doing this professionally, but are sort of working towards that maybe down the track. But it's always good to know, you know, how that operates, right? So, yeah. So obviously, you know that you've got your headshots, your show reel material, and you've got your CV. Okay, you've got those three things. You've got your self-tape set up at home, so you're all ready to go, pretty much, right? If you've got those things done and ready to go. Now, those of you who are putting together a self-tape show reel towards the end of this term, if you've probably got quite a bit of material that you self-taped, and you can do this as a little self-tape show reel and send it out to the business, I would suggest you do that. Okay, now is a good time. There's a lot of stuff being cast at the moment. Okay, and there's TV series being cast, so they're kind of ongoing castings that are happening just for day roles and a couple of days here, a couple of days there. You know, like I said, I've got one myself this week on Friday. which I hope won't interfere with the Friday studio. But these things are popping up quite a bit, and they're always little opportunities, you know. So do put your stuff out there. If you haven't put your stuff out there to Louise or Ali or Frank, because they're the sort of the three that seem to be doing the lion's share of these castings at the moment, put them out again, you know, as long as, you know, you didn't put them out last week kind of thing. But if you haven't put them out to them since like January or late last year or something like that, then there's no harm in reminding them, putting them out again, you know.
Dave,
Yeah,
Tom here. Hi. Who was Frank?
Frank Mazel, sorry.
How do you spell that?
Moiselle.
Okay, thank you.
It's okay. Yeah, Frank cast the one that I'm doing on Friday, Harry Wild, the new TV series with God, her name's went out of my head. Jane Seymour. Yeah. So that's Frank. And yeah, so there's a couple of other really nice ones out there at the moment. There's one being made from a Graham Norton novel, Holding. There's another one called The Dry, which is written by a female Irish playwright. We were working on one of her scenes right here. Who was doing it? MC was doing it, and MC and Adele are doing it. I can't remember the name of the writer. It's gone out of my head. Deirdre. Oh, no, it's gone. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to go dig it up now. But yeah, there's a few things like that being cast, and they're ongoing. Those series are ongoing. It may go to other series as well. So keep an eye out for those. Yeah, so do put your stuff out there again. Now, the question that I was going to kind of broach a little bit there is, number one, putting yourself out there, I suppose, but also putting yourself in the shoes of the casting directors. I made a little video about that earlier in the week. I was having a chat with a few students about that idea, where you just tip your sort of perspective over to them and ask yourself, you know, what do they want to see? What's interesting to them to see? You're obviously, you need to be aware of your archetype, okay, and what you're putting out there to those guys. That archetypal idea works in a lot of different ways. So, you know, if you've got, you know, a beard and fucking mad long hair and everything for whatever part you've got at the moment, and you do a self-tape for a clean cut solicitor or something like that, it's fine. You know, you don't need to go and cut all your hair off and whatever else for that. But just be aware in your self-tape, just to go down that road with the archetype and just do a nod towards that archetype as best you can. Okay, so you're just ticking that box. Okay, this person could conceivably play that character. That's our archetype, right? And then have a look at the script and ask yourself, what is the thing in this script that's going to sell me to these people? What's going to make them sort of sit up and listen? And of course, what it is usually is one thing that is very apparent in that script. All right. It'll be different from script to script. But sometimes, like let's take the one that Joe and Arena just did there. There's clearly a massive truth that is born out of it. And this detective gets a huge piece of news. Both of them are very different at the end than they are at the beginning. So clearly that moment is going to be very important to capture the kind of realization that it's more than he bargained for and more than she wanted to talk about. So in some scenes you have an epiphany, okay? For some scenes, you know, Joe will obviously realize from that scene, okay, well, this is all about her. And my reaction to that requires me to put my attention onto her. I'm not one with the strong driving objective here. It's all about her. Then there'll be another scene that will have a really strong driving objective all the way through. You just need to understand the dynamic of that individual scene. What is it that needs to be what is it that needs to be solved in that? And like I was saying in that little video that I put up earlier in the week, the actors who get that, the actors who solve those things in their text analysis are the ones who'll get the recall, because it shows that you understand the text. It shows that you understand how the characters are different at the end than they were at the beginning. It shows that you understand the nature of the characters. This one has a strong drive. This one is a femme fatale. This one is, this one has a character trait of shyness. They say very little and the other character does all the talking. To be aware of those dynamics and how to use those dynamics to create your character and solve the nature of the scene. So again, you're sticking yourself in their shoes and you're saying, okay, well, that works. That's an intelligent performance of that. Obviously, you've ticked very simple boxes, like it has to sound like it was never written down. It has to sound that natural, and it has to be unself-conscious as well. Okay. So that's those things, right? So put those out there. The other discussion that I was having with people last week, on the weekend in particular, not this weekend, but last weekend, was to do with just living in the business. Okay, now I know this sounds a little bit more kind of like a life lesson, and I don't mean it to sound that way really. But you can't get into a place where you're starting to panic about not getting work or not getting screen tests. You can't get into a place where you're imagining that you're in some way going to actually do this for a living 100%. And therefore you're going to let the fact that you might have to do a part-time job here or something else there upset you in some way. Okay. It's just the nature of this business that we're in. All right. So at the moment, they're talking about a universal basic income for artists. Okay. I'll believe that when I see it, right? But that will be the day, that will be the day that people like us can finally not have to worry about where our next meal's coming from, okay? But I've had to worry about that all my life. All of the actors that came before me had to worry about that, and you guys still have that as well. You do have to sort of think about, all right, well, this acting thing isn't going to make me a living right now, but it may do down the track if I keep at it and if I keep my spirits up and stay positive and stay active in it and stay disciplined in it, which is a big thing as well. That you're giving yourself every possibility to become a full-time working actor, and there are many of them. I know them personally. I'm not one of them myself, unfortunately, but I do go through periods of time where my main income is acting, but then there'll be periods of time when it's not, and that's just life, right? But yeah, you're putting yourself into a position where you can conceivably become that, where you can move into that frame of going from job to job and working, with your boots on as an actor the whole time. But if you do have to go and get a part-time job, that you're not getting depressed about that, because the point I want to get to with that is, if you allow the business to kind of drag you down in that way, and you get depressed about the fact that you also have to, do a bit of work on a construction site, or do your time in a call center, or whatever the case may be, then the depression that gets sort of attached to that feeds into your auditions. We do end up seeing a kind of a sense of desperation in those screen tests, that sense of, if I don't get this one, I'm back in that call center again, or whatever the case may be. And that, yeah, we kind of see it, and it's not, it's something that gets in between the casting director and the character, again, like anything else, like any of our other self-consciousnesses that we allow in. That one often does that too. We do get the kind of a general sort of sense of pushing it too much, and not sitting back on it and letting the script do its work, I guess, if I can put it that way, which is too general. I know there's more detail I need to say about that, but yeah, does that make sense, first of all?
Just a question on this notion of a full-time actor. I mean, I'm not trying to take it literally, but would a full-time actor literally be doing like a gig or two twice a week kind of thing.
Well, no, a full-time actor in my definition of it, Joe, is someone who makes their living entirely from acting. So
Right.
even if you're making, you know, 400 euro a week, you know, you can live on that. You can buy your food and pay your rent. Well, depending on where you fucking live, right, in this country. But then you are living on an actor's wage. That's what I mean. So, you know, you might get a TV commercial and make 8,000 euro, right, for a TV commercial. That's 16 weeks wages covered, right? So you might not do a thing for the next 16 weeks, but you've got 500 quid a week in the bank. So that makes you, as far as I'm concerned, a full-time actor, and you're putting yourself out there to get your next job. But you do go through periods as well. It's one of these kind of, it doesn't rain, it pours things with actors. Well, for me anyway, where I'll get like 3 or 4 things at a time and then have nothing for like 8 months. And I'm wondering whether, you know, the entire industry has forgotten I exist or something, like not even a screen test for months on end. And then all of a sudden there's a TV show, a film, and another short film over here. And all of a sudden I've got a living wage again. Okay. Yeah, that's how I look at it anyway, because it is so up and down like that. You know, you do have, you know, sometimes you'll have a 20 grand month, then you'll have 8 0 grand months right after it. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Okay, so yeah, just drop in anytime you like. But what I'm talking about there, guys, is a kind of a mental discipline, okay? To be able to say to yourself, okay, I know the game I'm in, right? It's in the Godfather's words, you know, this is the business we have chosen, in Hyman Roth's terms, right? We are walking into a business that we know well is difficult, that we know well is hard to find work in. There's a lot of actors out there, but at the same time, we don't have to be thinking in a negative way about that all the time. The flip side of it, of course, being that turn the TV on, flick through Netflix and Amazon Prime and all the TV shows, and there is a whole bunch of working actors on there making their living from acting. And there's no reason that can't be you if you are any bit as good as them. And you are, okay? Because you've done your training and you are. Like, how many times in the Friday studio and the Wednesday workshop, for that matter, have we watched scenes and at the end of it thought, you know, if we had turned that on the telly, on Netflix, and saw it in a series, we would quite simply accept that that is total professional quality work. It happens all the time, okay? So it's not as if you can't do it. It's just that there's other people out there doing it too, right? And sometimes then it does come down to a little bit of luck, where you're sort of in the right place at the right time. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like the Paul Mescal example is a really good example. You know, literally just graduated from acting school, walked out into the business, and there just happened to be a role that suited him absolutely down to the ground in that moment, right? You know, that normal people might not have come along for another 3 years, or it might have come along 3 years before, and he wasn't even on the radar and hadn't even started acting school, and he would have missed that boat, and someone else would have got that role. It often does come down to a bit of luck, you know, and that's not something that you can really control. All right. So there's things in the business, obviously, that are in your control. You can control that Louise Kiley, Frank Mazzell, Ali Coffey, for example, know who you are. All right. They know that you're there and that you're available to work. That you can control. That they have got a CV, a biog, whatever, a bit of self-tape or a bit of showreel material, and a headshot from you. They've got that, right? You can do that. You can be trying to get an agent if you don't yet have one, okay? You can be knocking on your agent's door every now and then if they've not sent you anything for a while, saying, anything going on, right? You can go to acting class and become really good at this, and you are doing that, okay? You're taking those steps, and they're the things that are in your control. But you can't control what TV show is going to be made, you know, next week, you know, or is in the pipeline. You can find out, but you can't control those things. So you might just be lucky then. You might just be one of those things where a period piece turns up and you've got the beard and the long hair, or or a TV show with a bunch of about teenagers with teenage problems pops up, and then John and some of the younger guys and girls that I've been teaching lately will suddenly be being pulled in for screen tests. At the moment, there's a thing called the Winx saga. It's based on some books. I think it's a kids thing. It's about some creatures or something. I don't know, but it's a kind of a younger kids and teenagers thing, and you can see it on Ali Coffey's Fishbond thing all the time. It pops up, and you scroll through, and up until like last week, it was mostly we want actors who are 15, 16, 14, 18. And you're just not, and I'm just not going to get a part in that, right? And like I say,
They're looking for older ones now, though.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Up until last week, but then a few popped up.
I got really excited when I seen it.
Yeah. Did you submit for it?
I'm going to, yeah, because hang on, I'll put up my video there. Sorry, I moved inside. Yeah, I'm going to submit because there's one. It's like about fairies or something. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Some sort of thing like that. It seems really cool. I'll submit something anyway and just see how it goes. Whatever, just to submit something. So yeah,
for sure. And like that's the thing about submitting like that as well. I mean, even if you don't get the part, you've submitted, and you've submitted. You've reminded Ali that you're there. You've reminded Katie that you're there. There's no harm in doing that either.
Yeah.
Just to get back on.
Dave, just on another thing about the right place at the right time, I was listening to something the other day about the King's speech on the radio, and they originally wanted Paul Bettany for the part, but he had taken time out to be with his family, and then they went to Hugh Grant, who turned it down, and then Colin Firth got the part, and it went on to win Oscars and everything. So, right place, right time. You can be the third, fourth, or fifth choice for a part and end up doing it.
Yeah.
Get the lucky break.
Indeed. Yeah. Happens all the time. I can't remember the name of it now, or can't even remember the name of the actor, but not too long before the pandemic anyway, it might have been a year before, in the Gate Theatre, there was an actor in one of the pieces that there was. It might have even been the Gigli concert. It could have been the Gigli concert, but the actor who was playing one of the parts, mother died, and he said, "Look, I can't do this. I need to go and take time with the family." Then and another actor had to be pulled in for it. Literally had 2 weeks at rehearsal of this monstrous part, and knocked it out of the park. Just got excellent reviews, 5-star reviews in the Irish Times and everything else. The name of the actor will come to me, but you can end up landing in something career defining by accident. You really can.
Was that Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf at the Gate? That happened.
Could have been, yeah, could have been.
Yeah, I saw that. Your man was fantastic.
Yeah, that was it.
Amazing. Yeah, he was pulled in at the last minute.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, these things do happen. I mean, even at the top, but yeah, look, that's it, isn't it? There is a certain amount of luck, but I mean, obviously, we can't control that all that much, really. But again, that actor who got that part, you've probably heard that old saying, you make your own luck. And in a way, that is, I think, true to some extent. That at least he was on the Gates radar. That people knew who he was. He hadn't given up. He hadn't sort of been. He hadn't sort of disappeared into the woods of all the other actors out there over the sort of preceding year or whatever. He'd kept himself sharp, right, and ready to go, and there it was, popped up. Yeah. So the things you can control, what I'm trying to say then is control them as best you can, control them really well. And just remember that, I think remember as well that you have to do this in a disciplined way. I used that word before, where, you can't really get up in the morning and say to yourself, well, it's okay if I do nothing today. It'll be okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or I won't do anything this week. I'll do it next week or something like that. I have a saying that you should do something for your career every day. Okay, I've always said it. Layla's heard me say that before, right? But every single day, do something for your career, even if it means picking up a monologue that you've never ever done before and doing a bit of work on it. Okay, even if it means taking half an hour to choose a new monologue that you're going to work on for the next 2 weeks, and then working on it for 20 minutes a day for the next 2 weeks, applying your technique, learning your lines, and then taping it for yourself at the end of the 2 weeks. And of course, you can do that, with me in the Wednesday workshop or the Friday studio. Andrew asked me there the other day, Adele can't make the last 2 classes of term, and he said, oh, what do I do now? 2 weeks is a long time. 2 weeks is a long time. With the ability that Andrew has, and his ability to learn lines quickly, Andrew could knock over a Shakespeare monologue comfortably over the next fortnight. This was back then, but and do it in the last class and have it ready to maybe film even when we get into that studio. You could easily do a monologue. You could certainly do 3 or 4 sets of sides in 2 weeks. We get these sets of sides for screen tests and self-tapes. We have to learn them in 24 hours. So what are we doing, saying to ourselves, oh, I can't get a scene, I can't get my act together and do a scene in a couple of weeks, when you're quite well used to actually doing them in 24 hours or 48 hours. You can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. Sometimes that takes pressure. It's self-pressure, giving yourself a deadline. I had a lovely old fellow that I used to teach. He had trouble learning lines. He was getting on. His brain wasn't what it used to be. And I said to him, it's not your age. It's just that you're out of the habit of learning the lines. And he was like, yeah, crap, Dave, it's my brain. I'm too old, right? And sure enough, though, he learned a really big monologue in like 4 days. And he came to me with it learned. And I said, how did you learn that? How did you learn that when you were telling me that, you were too old to do it? And he said, I've found out the secret to learning lines: pressure. It's kind of true. If you got to learn them, you've got to learn them. And so he just decided he was going to give himself a deadline and stick to it. And if you didn't know him by then, that's it. You either know him or you don't. So yeah, do something for yourself. Do something for your career. That also includes, of course, making sure that everybody knows who you are in the business, or contacting an agent that you've never contacted before if you don't have an agent yet. Putting the feelers out to somebody. Yeah. Being active in that sense too. Grabbing a friend and working on a set of sides, filming it, and then sending it out to Louise and Ali. They love to see this stuff. You wouldn't want to do one every week and send it on, but for them. But you can do them yourself. Put together that little self-tape showreel. Put a fresh one together of brand new scenes you've never done before, and stick it out there. And you'd be surprised what comes back. I was saying to Tom there, I'm working with a guy, a one-to-one student, Dahi. He did the Applied Art of Acting a while ago. Dahi Harrison was he was after Layla's time, and he just traveled the world, did the applied art, traveled the world. Now he's back, and needed to get stuff happening. We did some scenes, 1-to-1 classes, 8 classes, 4 scenes, 4 really good scenes, chopped them up, put them together, put it out there. And he's been working ever since. And not only has he been working ever since, it's actually a nice little story, this. He's had little acting jobs, professional paid acting jobs, since he put that show reel out. And in the meantime, he's a real talkative guy. He got to know the crew on his first gig, got to know the director, got to know the assistant director, Now I'm probably mistelling the story a little bit here, right? But he got involved in the crew side of it as well and said, well, can I shadow you? Can I learn how to be an assistant director? Can I be on set? And he's been cruising around Kerry, going out to the Blasket Islands and working on film sets, getting up at dawn and getting home at 11 o'clock at night, and getting involved in that whole side of it, just immersing himself in the world of making movies and making film and being part of that as well. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody should do that. He's obviously not focusing in on his acting side of it by doing that, but he is in the business. He's in the game. He's watching other people do it, and of course, he's been working on himself as an actor really, really closely as well, and giving himself lots of opportunities. He's got an audition for a play there. I was helping him with during the week. Big part in a play. In fact, I've asked him to audition for 2 parts, so he'll probably get one of them. You know, two male leads. Yeah.
Dave, when you say you're helping him with an audition, I mean, let's say one of us gets a call for something. How do you do that? I mean, is that something that we can do? Contact you. We've got something coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you work with us to get a particular reading ready.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Short time. I mean, usually it's kind of like that would be kind of short notice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is short notice, but if I have it's rare enough that I wouldn't have an hour somewhere in that 48-hour period.
Right.
So yeah, I did one with MC during the week from the Friday studio. She had an audition for, I can't remember, one of those TV shows that I mentioned, and yeah, we did an hour. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I have to ask for a fee for it. Of course, it's not something I can offer for free. But yeah, if the hour is there, or you know, if I have another student postpones their hour or something will fall in there. So yeah, I had a couple of those this week. Actually, there was another guy as well that I've only done like a couple of one-to-ones acting sessions with him, 2 actually, but he keeps getting auditions for stuff all the time. Yeah, I mean, he's had, in fact, I can't remember again which one it was, but one of those TV shows he's had auditions for like 5 different roles and got none of them. Right?
They like him.
All in the same TV show, you know. So yeah, exactly. They like him. He's not getting the parts for whatever reason, but they keep asking him to self-tape.
Right.
So yeah. So definitely, yeah, I can do that for you too. That's no problem. But yeah, I mean, stay active with it, guys. You know, and put yourselves out there. The other side of that is that you just never know. You might do a Paul Mescal on it and just land the right thing at the right time. It does happen. You know, you just might. You know, there's another friend of mine there who he moved to Canada. And this big Stephen King TV series they started filming in Canada, and he just walked right into it and was just perfect for this role in it. And just there he was. He was a professional actor for the entire of, you know, the making of this new Stephen King series. You know, massive, big professional outfit. And then after that, he got nothing, right? So now he's on building sites in Vancouver or wherever he is, you know, and that's okay too, you know, and he knows that. I've got a friend in Australia who's he's a fantastic actor. I went to acting school with him years ago. He's a brilliant actor. He looks like River Phoenix. I mean, he's a really fantastic looking guy, a wonderful actor, and he drives trains in Sydney. You know, that's what he does. And then he gets cast as literally one of the male leads in, you know, the international touring company of Mamma Mia, because he's a wonderful singer as well. So then he goes off and he does that. Tours Australia doing Mamma Mia, comes back, tumbleweeds, right? And he's back driving trains again, you know. It's the business we've chosen. I'll tell you what, guys, I've done it. Like, I've been teaching for obviously a long time now. But the thing is about teaching, as you know, with me, I love teaching. So I don't see it as a job that I don't really particularly want to be doing, that I'm doing waiting for acting work. And usually it's a pain in the ass when I get acting work, because it means I have to shuffle my teaching, which is my, you know, probably I'm just as passionate about that as I am with the acting. And I certainly find it for myself personally equally as rewarding. So I guess that's the other thing. If you can find yourself a job that's just as rewarding as acting, and you can do. But I've done all sorts of things, guys. You know, I've helped guys dig holes to lay down plumbing. I've put tiles on roofs. I've, you know, broken rocks up in quarries and helped people stone face their houses. I've worked in call centers. I couldn't even tell you all the different things I did when I was a young man. And I think that's important too, you know, get out there and get experience. You know, I sometimes tell the story, I won't make it a long one, but I think I've told some of you guys a story of the wine company I used to work for in Sydney. I was out of work in my very early 20s, and there was a wine company that these out of work actors set up this wine company where they sold wine over the phone, and they would order these cases of wine from the different wineries around New South Wales and South Australia. Got in touch with a courier company, and then put out, you know, leaflets around the place and said, you know, if you want to buy wine, we'll organize it. Basically started their own wine club, and it was bought by Foster's, and they all got $1 million each, $1 million each, for starting up the company. And they've been hiring out of work actors ever since, because they've got a really good phone manner. So when you call up to place your order for your wine, an out of work actor picks up the phone. And like, I mean, literally, and I don't mean this in any arrogant way, I became an Australian wine connoisseur because I had to, because part of it was the wine education that was attached to it. We needed to know exactly what we were talking about, and we needed to have tasted the wine when these people rang up looking for their wine. They'd be ordering it for weddings, for functions, you know, stuff like that. Now, I didn't care a hoot about wine before that, but I had a job I enjoyed. You know, I started to become interested in wine. Probably turned me into an alcoholic, really, but I'm still drinking wine to this day. But look, it was a job that was okay. You know, I wanted to be acting, you know, I wanted to be in the theater, I wanted to be teaching, or what my things that I'm passionate about. But it's not so bad to go into a call center where everyone is in the same boat and we're all drinking wine and, you know, selling wine. But look, you know, have a look out there. But, you know, you can, well, okay, we're coming up to half, so I don't want to, you know, just babble on for no reason. What I'm saying is that if you want to live in this business, you need to find a way to live in the business that's positive, where you're not seeing it as being competitive with each other, because you're not. I've always said that there's no competition between you guys. There's, you know, there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that, like, you know, Layla can do to get a role over Emma. You know, it's just going to come, they're both just as good as each other. It's just going to come down to a choice that a director makes, or a casting director makes, to do with some nebulous thing that's got nothing to do with those guys. And you need to make sure you keep thinking about it like that, because it is easy to wake up in the morning and turn on the TV and see, you know, actors that you know acting on the television and go, well, why isn't that me? You know, that it's so unfair, etc. Because it's just not. It's just the nature of the beast, you know. And to stay positive about it. The only other thing I'll say on that is I sometimes I'm hesitant to say this, because I want you to be driven. You know, I want you to be driven to get work. I want you to be driven to succeed. I want you to be disciplined and driven, right? That's all fantastic. But what I personally do myself is I never raise my expectations up too much, you know, because if I raise them up too much, the fall is hard, you know. And you can do that on a day-to-day basis. It's like I was saying to Mirren about that screen test, that self-tape I put in for the part I played this week. I didn't think it was a very good self-tape for a number of reasons, and I got the part, right? And then in other ways, then, you know, you can put in a self-tape that you think is magic. You think you've done a great job. You think you've absolutely nailed all those boxes. You've applied your techniques so well. And then you just hear nothing back, you know, and you don't get that reply saying, oh, it was very good, but you don't get anything back. You just get nothing. And it's like, well, how did I go wrong there? And the answer, of course, is you didn't go wrong. Someone just made a decision that had pretty much nothing to do with you, and you'll just never know.
Just to go back to the point about what casting directors are looking for, you say archetype. So say, for example, you know, a man with a long hair and a beard auditioning for a role of, say, a well-groomed solicitor. It's still possible, like the actor with that hair could still do the part. But like what you said, you know, the actor does not have to get his hair cut or has to shave, but can probably do a certain nod to the character, like have his head tied back or groom the beard or whatever, so that maybe it might impress the CDs that this guy could play that solicitor.
Oh, absolutely, exactly. Like that one I did on the Titans, the Men That Built America. That one, I played a general, clean shaven, you know, military style haircut. I auditioned for it looking like this, right? So exactly that. I tied it all back, you know, slicked it back, right? Just neatened up everything as best I possibly could, and got the part. So absolutely, no, it's not going to get in the way of that at all. Then they just cut it for you. Like even with this stuff I've got here, or I'm just growing this out because they're going to shape it themselves. Like they know what they want to do with this. And so when I get into on Wednesday, I'll have a wardrobe call, wardrobe fitting, which will also include hair and makeup. And on that day, they will have a look at all this and go, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And they might do it that day, or they might do it on the Friday morning when we get there or whatever. But yeah, they know what they're going to do anyway. They might cut my hair. I don't know, but I'm just going to leave it as it is because they've asked me to. They've said, just don't cut your hair, don't have a shave, leave it. We'll take care of it. So yeah. That's how they work. They're very very good at what they do, and they like to do it. That's the other thing. You know, they like to be kept busy. You know, so like I think I told you about Vikings. When I did Vikings, I had already had a beard and they shaved it off because they wanted to stick their own on. Right? They're really good at making these lovely big beards, you know, big false beards that look really, really real. So instead of using my own beard, they preferred me to shave mine off so they could stick a new one on every single morning for 7 mornings at like 5:30. It's like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what they want to do. Yeah. So these guys are great at what they do.
Yeah, because you never know what they're looking for, David.
Exactly.
You know. Yeah. And getting back to the point of you know, with actors who are working and stuff, you turn on the TV, you just never know what they're looking for, and a lot of times, you know. And I'm sure you've experienced this a lot, where actors who you have come up with, who didn't seem as talented, but they so happen to get the roles. And because, you know, the director or the casting people are looking for a certain type. Yeah. And a lot of times they're casted because of that type. Yeah. So, you know, to your point, you cannot take it personally.
Yes.
You know, you just got to keep working and working hard, perfecting your craft, and hopefully your time will come.
Exactly, yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times actors, you know, they get depressed, and I was one of them, who, you know, couldn't understand why I wasn't getting work. And, you know, all of a sudden, and you said, 8 months. You said 8 months, you know, try 8 months of not working. Let's take it even further. Try 3-4 years of not working.
Yeah. I hear you.
So that happens too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, you know, that's probably a good note to finish on, is the note of you can't take it personally. And I think kind of the extension of that is that, you know, these casting directors, they want the best that they can get to, you know, whether it's the best fit of the archetype, or whether it's the best actor in some way, or some actor that's done their homework in a particular way, that they don't have an agenda against you. Okay, they don't have an agenda against anybody. They would love
exactly.
They'd love to see you succeed and do well, because that means that they've done a good job, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember before I came here, I was working with Robert, Julia Roberts' brother. I did this film, and I auditioned for a detective, and I was doing a scene with him, and they didn't cast me for that scene because they said they loved my audition. The problem was I looked too young for the role.
Right.
So it's like you just never ever know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
The only thing you could just do is do your homework and do the best you can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's all you can do. So
Well said. You know, and they can change their mind part way along the journey themselves. But look, we better finish up because this is after the time.
okay.
And
Okay.
I've got another student of 4, so I better sort of change hats and have something to eat. But look, guys, it's been lovely doing these Sundays with you every Sunday. I hope that they've been of some value to you, and at least the kind of feeling of a community as well. While this pandemic's been on, that we've been isolated, but we haven't been alone, I think is a nice thing to have as well. But I'll see you in class on Wednesday and Friday. And as always, any questions, you know where to find me, guys. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Thank you,
Dave.
David.
See
Have
you
a good
tonight.
Bye bye. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for the chance to perform.
No worries, man.
Joe, do you want to ask David? Joe?
Yes, David, just before you leave, an update. I'm working Vikings Valhalla on Monday the 14th and Tuesday the 15th, but not on the 16th. And I understand that me, Irina, Eon, and Christian are booked for Monday morning. And my proposition is, and to politely ask the ladies who are booked down for Wednesday morning, that is Joel, Geraldine, Christina, Martina, if we could swap, if that's possible.
Okay. I'll run that by them.
Yeah.
But then see, Joe, what you've got is you've got a swap of an entire group there. And also I know that those guys they all have families, and they're all coming from way down here near Arklow down in Kylenear, and it would be a very difficult swap. Because it would mean everybody in the Monday morning moving to the Wednesday and everybody in the Wednesday moving to the Monday. We can ask on the group chat, but if one single person can't do that swap, it's off, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, we'll try that swap anyway, but also as well, David, didn't you say that the lab may well be open between 6 and 9 on a Wednesday evening?
I've already cancelled that because no one took that spot.
Right, right. It's just that where I can do a scene with Irina, and Irina said that that she would stay with her friend in Dublin Tuesday night, and we do our recording sometime on Wednesday. Christian, I also been messaging, said that he's also cool with doing Wednesday as well. So
yes, but see, Joe, this is all a little bit too late, mate. I'm afraid.
Too late.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I can ask to do that group swap, but I put it up on the group chat a couple of times, whether people wanted to use the Wednesday night. No one did, and I've now let the lab know that it's not available. It's not needed by me, so I'm not going to then go back to them. It looks unprofessional and rebook it. Okay, I gave everyone that option and that opportunity, so everything's been set in stone there for quite some time now. All right, I will ask on the group chat if the whole of those two groups can swap, but if they can't, I'm sorry, but it's too little, too late, I'm afraid. And just because the extras company do everything at the last minute doesn't mean everyone else does, and you can't just I can't just allow them to dictate what other people are doing. Okay.
I completely understand. I mean, look, if I can't do the Monday, fine. I can always drop by sometime on Wednesday, and if Eon can come up a second time, we can do a recording with Eon, and that's okay.
Well, look, the groups are as they are, Joe. Okay, the groups are as they are, and they are full. So remember that I can only have 6 people in the studio at a time. So we can't just have 7th, 8th, or 7th or 8th person just arriving in. The lab again have been very, very strict about that. That's what
numbers of people. Yeah,
we just can't have more than that. So,
and I understand.
Yeah. Okay. So it really will come down to if those entire groups can swap, then that's fine. If they can't, though, it's not going to happen, and then it goes over, and then it's over to you. I mean, you might just have to leave the extras work for a day, okay, in order to do it, or then you give up on the filming. Okay, because remember, this filming is only an extra as well. It is not part of the course. I'm offering it as an extra. Everyone understood that, you know, we may well not get into studio, okay, this term, and we haven't, okay, because of the pandemic. It's no one's fault. That's where it is, okay.
It's just that, David, you know, I love to have done the recording, but you know, they've asked me to do like 6 days combined. Now their thing, a way of saying this is that it's all or nothing. Either you do those 6 days together, or you don't do any of those days. Like, you can't just do 3 days and not do 3 days, like half and half.
Yeah.
And I kind of just feel like I would feel very bad for myself, David, for turning down 6 days work just for one 1 hour session of recording, 6 days of paid work, David. And
well, that's fine. That's your choice then, Joe.
That's okay with you. I mean, I don't mean to upset or disappoint you, but you know, like what you said, David, you know, as much that everyone wants to be consistently working, I too like to be consistently working as well, and put bread on the table and roof over the head. And
yeah,
whatnot.
okay, Joe, I'm not going to continue this now, okay, because I have another student coming up. But those times have been set, and I cannot allow other people's times that they have set and that they've set a long time ago to be interfered with at this point. I will ask if those two groups, the Monday and the Wednesday, can swap completely. If they cannot, then the answer is unfortunately no. Okay.
No worries. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Emil. Now, see you later.
Thank
you,
you.
David. Bye bye.